We've talked about the importance of picking the right attorney to represent you in your divorce action. And while your lawyer is going to be your advocate during the legal process of a divorce, you need to also pick the right advocate who's going to be your money expert during the divorce. So having a financial expert who is also a certified divorce financial analyst is crucial to the monetary and economic outcome, which is why you need someone like Donna LaScala of American Portfolio Financial Services by your side. Donna is a certified divorce financial analyst, a registered financial consultant, and a financial neutral. Donna's focus is not only geared to help clients understand the numbers on their financial statements, what they are entitled to in a divorce, but Donna also educates them on how to have a healthy relationship with money so they can survive and thrive during and after into their next chapter. Donna, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being here. So can a certified divorce financial analyst, CDFA as we call it here, help clients look at and work out their finances without necessarily having an attorney present?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons for the certified part of that title, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. We are the specialists who can help you look at your finances, help you understand what equitable distribution means, help you understand what scenarios are possible given the assets that you have, help you understand what is marital versus separate property, and how things would go during the divorce proceedings. It also helps to be well educated about your finances so then you can go back to your attorney with a better understanding and be a better participant in the negotiations. And your attorney does not need to be present for those meetings.
I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that given what attorneys cost by the hour. And as we've discussed many times on this show, money is a very logical thing, but people get very emotional about it, especially when they are involved or in the middle of a divorce. As a financial expert, what are some solutions to help people make smart decisions about their economic future? Because right now they're feeling that's a bit wobbly.
Well, absolutely. There are a lot of emotions that we have about money, and it's hard to separate them even in the best of times. So when you're under stress, like going through a divorce, it becomes even more difficult and more crucial to have someone that can help you get back to the logic. And as a CDFA, I'm also trained in mediation and also trained in collaborative divorce dispute resolution. So I can really help people understand, look, here's the logic of the situation, but let's really talk about what this means to you and why you have so many feelings about discussing your 401k and your pension and the marital home, because we do imbue money with a lot of emotion.
That is so true. And, speaking of that, your mediation and collaborative skills come in really handy when you're working with clients to, again, find solutions to the money piece of a divorce. What are some examples that have been effective and worked well?
Well, one of the things I start to ask them is, what is it about this thing, the 401k, the pension, the stock account, that's making you so anxious, that giving it up or splitting it is making you so anxious? And it really comes down to, when you're talking about things like child support or spousal support, that the person is thinking, well, how am I going to be able to afford to live after this process? How am I going to be able to keep a roof over my head, a roof over my children's heads, clothing on their back, food in their mouth? That's what they're really thinking, and they're not logically looking at, okay, here's what's in column A, here's what's in column B, here's how it could potentially be distributed between the two of you. These are your expenses. This is your income. You can actually do this. So what I help them do is focus on the possibilities and the scenarios. If you do A, then B, C, and D will happen. And I'll say to somebody, you're holding on to the marital residence, and I know the reason is because it's your home. But do you understand that there are ramifications for doing that you may not really be thinking about right now? And there are possibilities and opportunities. Instead of fighting and spending hours and hours in with your attorney fighting over these restricted stock units, maybe there's something else on the table that you might want to consider as an alternative instead of digging your heels in over something that may actually not be worth it in the end. So I explain all the different possibilities and also all the ramifications of choosing one thing over the other. And then when they see it on paper and they see it in, a logical format, they say, oh, okay, well, now I understand and I should probably do this because it's in my best interest.
One thing I would love for you to explain, and this was something that you started to touch upon a little when we were talking off mic, is New York, where you are based, is not a title state. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so what that means is when you look at your bank statement, it may say, Ilyssa Panitz and just your name only, or it could say Ilyssa Panitz, joint tenants' rights of survivorship, or it could say in trust for your kids, or it could say Ilyssa Panitz IRA. It could say a lot of different things. New York State does not care who's on the title of that account. If it was acquired during the marriage, if it happened during the marriage, if it grew during the marriage, it's a marital asset. So even if it's in your name only, or if it's in joint name, or if it's in your spouse's name, it doesn't matter. If it was acquired during the marriage, it's a marital asset. That's why it's very important to sit down with someone with my skill set so I can get to the bottom of where did this money come from? How was it acquired? Was it separate property? Were you working at the job 5 years before you got married, or was it all during the length of your marriage? Was this house purchased before the marriage? In whose name? All of those things are meaningful because New York does not care what the title of the account is. It's all going to be looked at the same.
Speaking of those accounts, there are a lot of different accounts that people are going to be going through with someone such as yourself, and they're also going to be talking to their attorneys about this when they're going through a divorce action. And I'm going to list a few. Life insurance, cash value, as you just touched upon, the marital home, retirement accounts, bank and education accounts. So how are these things divided in New York, where you're based? New York, as you have touched upon before, is an equitable distribution state. So how do two parties come to terms on something that is going to be deemed fair?
Well, the interesting thing that I always tell people that the misconception is equitable distribution does not mean 50-50. Equitable is not equal. It does not mean even. It does not mean down the middle. But everybody has this misconception that it's a 50-50 transaction. It's not always that way. It's equitable. Who gets more of what depends on many factors other than just the dollars and cents of it. So it's very important in those scenarios to take a look at things like the cash value of life insurance. If you are supposed to give a portion of the cash value of your life insurance to your spouse, it may be better to take a loan out against that policy instead of actually stripping out the cash value to do it. Or if the cash value is $100,000, but you've also got $200,000 of stock, if you're supposed to give some money to your spouse, it might be better to take it from the stock account and leave the life insurance alone. As a CDFA, I can go through all of those issues with you and say, okay, here's what's going to happen. It's better to take it from here versus there. For example, I had a client who had a retirement plan account, a 457, which is a very specific type of retirement account. He had left it at the former employer. He needed to give his wife money from all of his retirement assets. And I said to him, you've got 5 different types of accounts. The money just needs to come from one place. And if we roll that 457 over into an IRA, you can then give your wife that entire IRA without doing a quadro. So number one, I saved his other assets from being disrupted. Number two, I saved him money by not having to do a quadro. And number three, it was just a much easier transaction. So that's what I mean when sitting down with a specialist like myself, I can tell them all the things that are involved, not just this is what's in your column, this is what's in your spouse's column. What does it actually mean logistically when the money starts moving back and forth?
And for people who are going to try to move the money back and forth, or if they want to, are there any implications like fees, taxes? Maybe they can't take it out because there's an age requirement.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that you also need to be aware of. Taxes. If you've got a marital home and a vacation home, selling the vacation home, you will get hit with taxes. Taking money early out of a retirement plan and not doing it the right way, you will get hit with penalties and taxes. Cashing in a CD before it's time, something as simple as that. There are always ramifications. RSUs, restricted stock options, they may not be fully vested. There are so many different things that could happen. If you do it the wrong way, the mistake could be extremely costly.
Well, one thing we don't want to do is make the mistake of not sharing your contact information. Donna, how do people reach out to you?
Well, the easiest way to find me is to call my number, 516-234-8224, and my email address is compdivorce@gmail.com. You can always reach me there.
Donna LaScala, a regular here at the Divorce Hour and with American Portfolio Financial Services. Thank you so much.
At Comprehensive Divorce Solutions, Donna LaScala provides the tools for people to deal with assets, debts, equitable distribution, and retirement in divorce negotiations. We hold your hand during and after the divorce process, providing a roadmap of what happens next and into the future. Divorce is difficult whether you're initiating it or not. It's fraught with emotion. When you deal with emotions, you are not dealing with logic, making it more difficult to decide what to do with your money. Hiring a professional to assist you in walking down the money path is crucial to avoiding potentially costly mistakes. Donna's goal is to make sure that each individual knows how they are going to be able to survive and thrive during and after divorce. As a CDFA-trained mediator and collaborative financial neutral, Donna helps people get unstuck and move forward towards their post-divorce future. Call Donna LaScala at 516-218-6919, 516-218-6919.